Man, video is hard. Anyway, hi. My name's Tommy. I'm an artist, mostly a painter, and I've been teaching drawing and painting for going on 2 decades now. But only in person. I've never really done this on video before. Really, even during COVID lockdown in 2020, I was probably the only person not using Zoom. I was out painting every day. But since video lessons seem to be the way things are going right now, I thought I'd give it a whirl. Even though I'm primarily a painter, I want to start off and just work on some drawing first. I really believe that drawing will benefit any kind of artist, especially a painter. From the standpoint of a thing that we're doing, uh, drawing and painting have a whole lot in common. There's a whole lot of overlap. In fact, I'll even say that your paintings probably, no, your paintings are not going to be any better than you draw. That's a pretty good intro, right? Do I sound like an asshole? I think I sound like an asshole. Well, let's get on with it. So, the first exercise we're going to do is a really simple exercise, contour drawing. If you've taken any kind of drawing class before, you've probably done some version of this exercise. Even if you have, I might have a thing or two to add to it. Let me go ahead and get started. You can watch me draw while I explain this, and then when I'm done, you can give it a shot. This is simple, but it's not necessarily easy. I'm going to give you some clear, specific rules just for this exercise. More about rules as we go on. But for now, for this exercise, what we're going to do is find an object, something that's interesting, it's got interesting shapes, curves, maybe some hard lines in it too. You're going to find something in your world to draw. You can't do this from a photograph. That's really important. You have to do this from direct observation. We're going to put our eyes on one specific point, and then we're going to put our pencil on the paper and imagine that our pencil is touching the edge of the object. Then, with one slow, continuous line, not lifting that drawing tool up from the paper at all, we're going to slowly trace every shape that we see. Notice that I said shapes, not things. You might see some shapes that are within the boundaries of something that you would normally identify as a thing. You also might not see delineation between the edges of two things. You're just going to follow the shapes that you see, as if you're tracing the picture. One really important thing about this is that it's an exercise. It's something to practice doing and to get good at doing, but it's not necessarily going to yield a nice finished drawing. That's not our point here. It's a seeing exercise. Remember how I said if you've ever taken a drawing class, you've probably done some version of this exercise. And really, anyone who's been to art school in the last, say, 50 years has probably done some version of this exercise. Yet, you might have noticed that there's not a room full of contour drawings in the art museum. That would be sort of like going to a concert to hear musicians practice scales. Something became apparent when I was making this video. I'm going to follow the same instructions that I'm asking anyone watching to follow. My drawing's not going to look like anything, at least not at the beginning. Remember, we're going really slowly, and we're following the individual shapes of things that we see. Sort of like if you were building a stone wall, one stone at a time. It's not going to look like the whole building until it's nearly done. Same thing with this drawing. Unfortunately, that doesn't make for a very entertaining drawing video. I'll work on being entertaining next time, I promise. And just like I'm feeling the urge to entertain you, really, if you're doing this, you're probably going to start to feel some sort of urge to hurry up and make it look like the thing. And of course, the easiest, simplest, most efficient way to say, hey, look, I'm drawing a human skull, would be to not draw all the little individual shapes that you really see, but to draw a symbol. Sort of like the simplest way to say human is to draw a stick person, but that stick person doesn't actually look anything like a human being. Our goal here is to honestly report the actual shapes that that object is made of, just one by one. Even if they're not fitting together that well, if your proportion gets out, it probably will. We're going to worry about the big picture stuff later, and that's really important. But for right now, let's just keep deconstructing the way that we see this and break it down into the small individual shapes. So as long as I'm giving you this exercise with these very restrictive, specific guidelines to follow, it's a good time to talk about rules in art. Short version, there aren't any. Now hold on. Don't stop the instructional video just because I said there's no rules. Let me explain a little bit. What there is cause and effect. I'll give you an example. I had someone in one of my classes say that she was watching some YouTube tutorial. That's always how trouble starts. And the instructor said, never mix more than 3 colors together. It'll make your paintings muddy. And my student wanted to know if this was right. Well, really, there's 2 things there. One, yes, the more colors you mix together, the higher the likelihood that you're going to get a muddy or desaturated color is. But the second part is telling someone they should never do that as a rule. Look, it's mid-January right now. The world is kind of gray and dead, and if I'm going to paint the way that I really see and feel about things right now, it's not going to be a brightly colored painting. Muddy, gray, desaturated colors might express exactly what it is I'm after. When a teacher gives you specific rules to follow, it's because we want you to see what kind of effect that'll achieve. But for you, as you move on as an artist, those just become choices that you make, options that you have. But you don't make art based on some rule book. At least that's not why I got into this. So back to our contour drawing. One little mistake I made is I said something about a pencil. Sure, you can draw this with a pencil, but you might have noticed that I'm using a Sharpie. It's a little bit less forgiving. But for what we're doing, one slow, steady, continuous line, we're not doing any erasing or shading or anything like that. A Sharpie actually works really well and might actually enforce a little discipline. Discipline, yeah, I said it. Most people probably don't think of discipline when they think of artists. But actually, at least in the creative part of the job, we have to be pretty disciplined. And this is a pretty disciplined exercise. The only way you're going to find out what kind of effect you can cause is to really see the process through consistently and enough that you can actually learn something from it, that you get another tool to put in your toolbox, a weapon in your arsenal, another arrow in your quiver. Let me give you one more rule to follow just for this exercise. A little extra challenge. I'm going to throw you a curveball. First time you do this exercise, just look at the object and don't look at your drawing. Put a cover sheet over it so you're not even tempted. do the whole drawing as a blind contour so that you can't see your drawing. What will happen if you're doing this drawing without even looking at the drawing is that instead of thinking about what it might look like to someone else, you'll just focus on the shapes that you're actually seeing and let what you're seeing directly guide your drawing tool around. And that's really the whole point of this exercise. So that's about 20 minutes of drawing sped up just to make it watchable. Do you see the skull yet? There's the exercise finished, or at least as far as I'm going to take it right now. This isn't a blind contour. I was looking at mine as I was drawing. And after you've done one or two blind contours, do one like this where you're looking at the page. If it doesn't come out quite as well, and you're a beginner, remember I've got a few years practice on you. Well, if you've made it this far, here are a few shots at some of the other contour drawings I did where the video was even worse than what you just sat through. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff.